Hi everyone. So today I'm going to be talking about my experience with meeting the 1975. I've talked about this a lot on my fan account on Instagram at Truman1975Healy if you want to go check that out. And basically I've talked about how I got in to meet the boys before the concert, and it's been quite a hectic story, to be honest. So I met the boys on the 5th of March 2016, and this was at the second concert at Brixton. I was so excited. This was the first concert I was going to by the boys, and I wanted it to be as perfect as possible, and I had no clue that there would be even the slightest possibility of me meeting the boys. So we got to London, Brixton in particular, at 11:30. I was like prepared to wait a good solid 8 hours or more if I had to, just to get good seats, and there were only like 100 or so people in front of me, and I was with my mum, and we weren't that concerned because we didn't have standing tickets. We had seated tickets, which, you know, like, I don't want to be crushed by masses of people and like risk not getting a good enough view. So we got into the queue and we settled down pretty quickly. Like, I protected the ground with some plastic sheeting and wrapped myself in a blanket so that I would be comfortable for the 8 hours I had to wait. And 10 minutes later, security came out and they said, anybody who's in O2 priority or has an O2 phone, you can move to the priority queue. So pretty much everyone just moved over to the O2 priority queue. It's basically just got the whole queue moved over to the left side of the pavement next to the road. And I had two friends who were coming later, and I wanted to know if they could join me later. So I asked my mum, can you go to security and ask if two friends can join me later? So she went over and talked to the security guy, and they walked down to the back of the venue pretty much, and there were two guys there that were dressed in black, like literally from head to toe, excuse the reference. And I saw my mum shake hands with one of them and they started speaking. I just thought, oh, he must be like part of the security team or something, like maybe my mum's just checking with him. So they were talking for quite a bit and I lost interest and just started talking to the people around me, as I figured, hey, I'm gonna be with you guys for the next 8 hours, might as well get to know you. And they were absolutely lovely, and eventually my mum came back and I said, so can we join or not? And she said, oh, I didn't ask. And I was like, what were you doing all the way over there then? So I decided to take initiative and go ask myself. So I went to the security guy and said, would it be possible for two friends to join later, like in the queue? And he said, wait, I have to go talk to your mum, 1 second. So I was just left in the queue by myself again, and at this point I was tired and I just sat down on the floor. I didn't care anymore. And my mum went back to the two guys, and one of the guys went in through the backstage door, and she was left talking to the like other guy, and I saw they were looking at me and quite clearly talking about me, and I just ignored it. And I saw they started to walk towards me, and I was like, oh god, what do they want? Like, please, mum, what have you done? And I looked up and I saw in the guy's jeans he had a badge and it said AAA, and it had the pastel blue background with the white rectangle. That's when I knew, oh my god, this guy's with the band. He is like quite powerful, like he has high status with these guys. So I just jumped out. I was like, it's so nice to meet you, hello, I'm Jazz. And it's just like, oh, it's lovely to meet you, like, but why are you talking to me? You're with the band. And he said, pack up your things, you're not going to be in this queue anymore. And I was just like, no, don't want to lose my place. Don't want to go at the back because another 10 people join the queue. Don't want to be 10 people back than I was already. He was just like, no, don't worry about it. Just take your stuff and come with me and your mum. And I was just like, okay. So I took all my stuff and started walking down, and he was like, do you know who I am? And I said, no. And he said, I'll let your mum explain. So my mum said to me that she had a friend who went to university with the close friend of the tour manager, and that's who this guy was. He was the tour manager, and he told me he might be able to get me in before the show to meet the boys and at least get an autograph if I don't get in. At this point I was so excited. I was like shaking with them, but he said don't get your hopes up, and I didn't, because just the week before I waited 8.5 hours in the queue for the pop-up shop in the freezing cold. I didn't even get in the end, but I was just okay, that's fine, like please do anything you can, that will be absolutely lovely, like thank you so much. And he just said go get lunch, keep warm, like get caffeinated if you have to, like just don't come back to the queue until 4 o'clock, but when you do come back ring me and I'll give you an update. So we did so. We went to Nando's for lunch, got Starbucks, walked around Brixton, and we went to M&S to do some shopping, and we got the tour manager a bottle of wine because we wanted to like show we were really grateful that he was doing this for us, because he didn't have to, like he could just say no, stay in the queue, you're not meeting the boys, but he was actually going to try. And I was debating getting gifts for the boys. I didn't in the end, because I thought, knowing me, I probably won't meet them and I'm just gonna end up sad again. But I really regret I didn't buy anything for them. Like I was so close to buying roses, a card and a cake for them, and like a dog toy for Alan. I just wanted, like, I just really regret not getting them anything. But we went back to the queue at 3:30 because I was far too excited to wait any longer. I couldn't just go on wandering around Brixton. We like waited, like we were just like not even in the queue, we were just opposite the queue. And eventually my friends came to the queue, and I went to them and stood with them, and I had to explain, like I had to make up a lie pretty much about why I couldn't save their place or why I didn't have to wait in the queue anymore. And I just said, oh, O2 priority, they don't have to stay in the queue, like they can just go in there they want. And they believed it, luckily, but it was a very believable lie. But they found out in the end why I couldn't, so it's all good now. But eventually 4 o'clock came around and we called the tour manager and we're like, hey, we're here, come meet us. And he said, yeah, I saw you outside from 3:30, you really didn't have to be here that early. So he came outside and he was like, oh, the boys aren't here yet, so I don't have any updates yet, but I will come back outside and let you know if you can come in when they get here. And we're like, okay, thank you. And we gave him the bottle of wine and he was quite grateful for it, so I think that helped a little bit. But then we went back into the queue and I was standing with my friends and just talking about the boys and stuff and how excited we were for the show. And 5 minutes later, the tour manager came out and he just called me over and he said, give me your hand. And I was like, oh, okay. And he put something in my hand and I was like, oh god. And all he said was, this is one of Matty's. And then he just turned around and walked back into the backstage. And I looked at my hand and I got one of Matty's guitar picks. Like, no joke, I have it here. Like, look at this. Look at that. And when I saw that I got this, I started like shaking and crying. I was just like, this is, no way, but this is legit. There's cuts, there's scuffs on this, like it's the real deal. This is one of Matty's. I've never heard someone get one of Matty's picks. Like one of my friends from the fandom on Instagram, I know she has Adam Hand's picks that she caught luckily at the barrier, and I've never heard someone have one of Matty's picks, and I'm so honoured to like get one. Like I'm debating turning it into a necklace, but I don't want to ruin it. After that I just walked back to my mum. I was like shaking, I was crying, everything, and I just handed her the peg and she was like, okay, great, thank you for emotionally ruining my daughter. But, yeah, so I had to like cover up quite quickly because my friends were a bit confused. They're like, okay, why are you crying? Just in a queue. But we were like facing the backstage door all the time, and because we thought, oh my god, the boys aren't here yet, like they're going to be coming through the backstage door most likely. And they did. We saw a black car pull up, and basically we were on this road and there was a main road like there, like in front of us where the backstage was, and I saw a black car pull up on the main road and I was like, oh my god, they're here, oh my god, they're coming in. And it turns out Matthew Healy and Adam Hand walked through that door. I was so close to screaming, but I was just in too much shock because I've seen these guys for 3 years just through a screen. Like, I've looked at all of their interviews pretty much, watched them 1,000 times over, but the fact that I was seeing them in real life was just so surreal to me. It didn't feel real, and I just broke down and started crying. And the thing is, no one around us noticed that they were there. Like, I was like, how can you not notice? Because they were all just facing the front of the entrance, like waiting to go in. I was just like, no, always face the backstage if you want to see the boys. But yeah, another few minutes passed and I kind of calmed down a little bit, but I was soon ruined because another black car pulled in and it came down our road a little bit, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be George or Ross. Please be George, please. As much as I do love Ross, George is love of my life, 100%. And I would cry if it was George. It was George. And honestly, he came out and I was filming it and I screamed, George. And he looked over and he just waved. I was like, oh my god, George. And I was just screaming George over and over, and me and my friends were just like freaking out, like, oh my god, we just seen 3 members. We didn't see Ross go in, but you know, that's Ross. And after that I was not okay. But again, another few minutes passed and I saw the backstage door open again, and the tour manager poked his head out and he called me and my mum over, and I was like, please let me in, please let me in. Luckily he did let us in. He opened the door so that me and my mum could get in, and when I walked in, I was in so much shock. Like, we went up some staircases and I was so scared I was gonna fall because I was lightheaded, my legs were like jelly, and the butterflies in my stomach were going crazy. But we stopped at one floor and we started walking down it, and it was quite a short corridor, but I saw George in one of the doorways and I started like freaking out internally. And we just walked past him, and it took me everything I had not to scream, not to die, and not to faint, because that man he does things no other person can do to me. Just like, honestly. But anyway, we walked past him and went to the room next to him, and the tour manager went in and came out with a piece of paper, and it was this. The 1975 dressing room, which is the coolest thing I have ever received. Like, I'm pretty sure no one else in the world has this, and it's autographed by all of them. So that's so cool. And he just gave it to me. He was like, okay, we're gonna get this signed by all the boys. And I didn't have my photo book out at this time. I didn't have time to get out. So when we went to George, I only had that piece of paper on me, and I was introduced, and George was told my name. And he was like, oh, it's nice to meet you, and he hugged me, and I screamed, and I cried. And I looked like such a weird when I was like meeting him. And I was just, I didn't care though, I was like crying, like I felt so bad because he didn't know what to do. He was just like, and he just hugged me and like rubbed my arm a little bit, and like, and then, oh my god, but his hugs are the best, and he smells so good, no joke. He smells like the best thing. It's like mixed between cologne and weed. Best 2 things. But anyway, he signed my like little sheet of paper, and he was like, what's your name? And I was like spelled out for him, and I was like freaking out because he didn't hold the pen properly, and he was like writing it really weirdly. I was just like, baby, I love you. So he wrote it, and then the tour manager told him about the whole pop-up shop incident, and George was so apologetic. Like, it was the cutest thing I've ever seen. I was just like, I don't care anymore. Like, you made the effort to meet fans, and like, I don't know any other band that would do that for their fans, honestly. And he was like, yeah, we only saw 700 people, and like, he was being really honest about the whole thing. Like, it's just, it makes my love for the band grow even stronger, because I love them so much. But anyway, we finished with George, unfortunately. Like, I got to talk to him for a little bit, and he was absolutely lovely. Like, he's such a sweetheart. And we went down to the stage area, and I couldn't film anything there, but I did get photos. And basically we were looking for Matty, and Matty wasn't anywhere to be found. He wasn't upstairs where we just were. He wasn't at the stage area, so there was nowhere else he could be really. And but we did see Adam there working with one of the sound guys for the stage, and they were like sorting out sound levels and going over the performances from yesterday, like sound wise. And like we don't want to disturb them, so we just watched the stage, like they were playing around with the lights. I got to see some visual effects I didn't end up using, which was pretty cool, like no joke, like so people can say that they've seen those lights. But anyway, like it was just such a great experience, just like even like looking at the stage was amazing. But we didn't want to disturb Adam, so we went back to the tour manager's office and stayed there for a little bit. And I heard George and John walking past the door, and John looked at me and was like, "Oh, who's the team?" I was like, "Thank you for talking about me." I didn't get to meet John though, which really sucks, but much love for John. Anyway, like we stayed in the office for another 5 minutes, and then we decided to go on the hunt again for more plays. And but anyway, like we went down the corridor and we just so happened to bump into Ross, you know, casually as you do. And I was just like, "Ross, baby, my baby Ross." And he's honestly, that man is just a bear. He's a bear who gives the greatest hugs. Honestly, him and George give the best hugs. Matty and Adam, they're almost on par with these hugs, but honestly, these hugs are like the best ones I've ever received. They just feel so safe in them. Anyway, like Ross was so lovely. He was like, "Oh, it's so nice to meet you," and like he signed my dressing room like slime, and he was signed the photo book, and then he saw that I had the photo book, and he was like, "Oh wow, you bought the box set, that's really cool, like can't believe you bought that." I was like, "I'd pay any amount of money for you guys. This was nothing. I'd sell my house for you, and it wouldn't be enough to show how much I love you." But yeah, he signed it, and he was like so sweet. And then he was told about the whole pop-up shop incident as well, and out of all of them, Ross was the most upset. Like I've never seen like him look so like distressed, and I felt so bad. Like he just kept apologizing. I was like, "Oh my god, stop, it's okay, I'm here now, I love you." But yeah, he was just such a sweetheart towards me, and I just he didn't like rush me or anything. Like we got to talk. We finished with Ross and went back down to the stage area, and we finally found Matty. Noodle Boy was there at last. And he was helping Adam with the sound guys and everything, and just like watching the stage and stuff. So we didn't want to disturb them again, so we went up to the seating area, and the tour manager took us to the best seats in the like whole like circle area, and we had those reserved for us in the end, and it was pretty cool, not even gonna lie. So we got to like see the different angles and which one we preferred. We went for the seats that he recommended because they were amazing, like sound wise and view wise. Those were the best, and we were just so lucky that we got them. And my friends even got in next to us, which is pretty cool. Like I have no clue they got in. We must have cut like 100 people, which is insane. But I asked about moving to standing, and then he said, first of all, you're not even going to be at barrier. You're going to be like second or third row. And then you're just gonna get crushed. Honestly, it's not worth it. Like these seats are great. So I was like, yeah, we'll just take the seats, because I don't want to do it to my mum, because she waited 8.5 hours with me at the pop-up shop queue for nothing, and she was willing to wait another 8 hours with me in this queue for the concert. So she was just being so lovely towards me. So I was like, I'm just gonna let you relax, let you just sit back. So we went back down to stage area, and Noodle Boy finally noticed me, and he said, "I'll be 1 minute." That was the longest minute of my entire life. Eventually he did come over, and he was absolutely lovely. He was just like, "Hi, I'm Matty." I'm like, "Matthew, Timothy Healy, I know who you are. I spent 3 years obsessing and listening to your music. Do not come up to me and say, 'Hi, I'm Matty.'" okay, I get it, maybe he did it for my mum's sake, because he probably knew, like, I knew who he was. And he just said to my mum, "Hi love, what's your name?" And my mum was like so shocked that he was so like lovely and sweet, and like he wasn't egotistical at all. Like Matty's usually an attention whore for like any like piece of attention. He wasn't this time. He was absolutely lovely, and he's so sweet to me, and I just love it. Like when he found out about the pop-up shop incident as well, he was apologetic too, and he was just apologising. He was so lovely. When I asked for the autographs, he also noticed I had the photo book like Ross, and he was just like, he just grabbed it from me and he was like, "Oh my god, this is so cool." So like flicking through it, like he was just like a little boy, and he was giggling away and was like, "Aww." But yeah, and then I asked for the photo and a hug, and then he grabbed me, pulled my head down to his chest and just rested his head on top of mine. I was just like, this is the best hug I could ever get from anyone. Thank you for this, God, honestly. That was like really cute, and he smells so good. Like he's been wearing that shirt for like 5,900 million days, and it smelled so good. Like sort of like he took a shower first of all, cologne and weed as well. I was just like, this is like the best combination of smells ever, and I will never forget it. But yeah, afterwards he said to the tour manager, "Okay, go take her to merch and let her pick whatever she wants. It's on me." And I was like freaking out a little bit. Like I've never heard that a band will give a fan free merchandise. So I was absolutely touched by this, and like it felt like a gift from Matty. Like I know it wasn't like personally from him, but like he kind of was at the same time. So it was really sweet. So we went to merch, and he was like, "Pick whatever you want, anything you want." He was like, "You can get the box set if you want." I was like, "I already have it, but you know." So I asked for the black jumper, but he was like, "That's one we can't do. Like, there's limited stock on that, and everyone wants one." So I was like, "Yeah, that's pretty understandable." And I just like to test my luck, and I was like, "Can I get the rose gold necklace?" And he was like, "Nice try, but no." And I was just like, "Oh, worth it, so worth it." But I did end up getting 2 t-shirts. I got the pink one that says the 1975 on the front, and I like it when you sneak on the back, and then the black t-shirt with the 4 boys on the front from the Love Me music video, and on the back it has all the venues from the Europe tour. It's just like, I was just like, thank you so much, thank you so much. Like it's just like, I'm gonna treasure these things forever, because it feels like a gift from Matty. Like it's adorable. But we went back into the main like pit area, the standing area, and we were taken over to the barrier, and then we went into that gap between the stage and the barrier where security and photographers are, and we got to stay there. And he was like, "Okay, you can sit here and watch sound check for like half an hour, 40 minutes." And I was like, "Are you serious? I've never heard that a fan gets to watch like sound check for a band. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've never heard of that." And that was like, it blew my mind. I was like not expecting that. Like I met the boys. Whew. But before the soundcheck started, the tour manager called over Adam, and he was like, "Oh, can you come over here and like meet this girl?" And then he was like, "Oh yeah, sure." It was like so sweet. And then Adam wasn't sure if I was gonna come up on the stage or if he should come down. He was absolutely adorable, honestly. I love that man so much. He's like a little puppy, and but yeah, he did end up coming down. He'd like hop down off the stage. He's like, "Hi, I'm Adam." Oh my god, but yeah, I was just like, oh my god. So he like signed my stuff really quickly, because they were just about to start sound check, and I was like, yeah, that's totally understandable. But I didn't get a good photo with Adam because he kept moving around like a little, like, you know, puppy, and like in all the photos he's like moving, like just jittering about, but it just makes the photos even more memorable and like more charismatic. So I love them. And then he went back up onto the stage, and they were about to start sound check, but then someone said, "Where's Ross?" Ross was missing for like 5 minutes. Like he was nowhere to be found, and they had to start the sound check, and it was insane. Like, how do you go missing for a sound check that you lost a band member? We just like waltzed onto the stage, just like, "Oh sorry, got to get sound check," pretty much. And so they about to start sound check, and Matty said, "I'm gonna do Paris first," and he said and I quote, "Because it's the shittest." Matthew Timothy Healy, I'm gonna smack you so hard. I still love you. Like, honestly, how can you hate Paris? Like, it's not the worst one. It's not the worst one, Matthew. Shh, silence yourself. No, you're wrong. I could listen to Paris all day, every day. Honestly, I love it. But yeah, so they did Paris and it was amazing. They did so well, like even the soundtrack, and like I was just singing along like a little idiot, and Matty saw, and then they finished Paris and he jumped down and sat next to me. He was like, "So Jasmine, do you live in London?" First of all, he remembered my name. Such cutie, honestly. Like, I didn't expect him to remember my name. It's like he was actually like taking an interest in me, like about where I live. Like, that's adorable. Like, because I was in no state to initiate conversations. I was in so much shock, and I'm such a shy person naturally, so it's a bit but anyway, he was absolutely adorable, and I was just like, "No, I don't live in London, but I live in Guildford, which is like an hour from London." And he was like, "Oh yeah, I used to live in Guildford, I know where that is." I was like, "I'm blessed that you used to live here." He's like, "Yeah, I went to school there for like 2 weeks and then I left." I was like, anyway, he was just absolutely adorable, and he's just such a cutie. And then he went back up to the stage and he was messing around on his guitar. He was playing Taylor Swift, like "We're Never Ever Getting Back Together," like whatever that song is, don't know. And then Adam kept on playing the like riffs for Robbers, which made me so emotional because Robbers is like my song. Call me basic, but it's my song. And anyway, they played Change of Heart again. I was like screaming the lyrics along, and Matty and I like locked eyes like a few seconds, and he started smiling when I was singing. I was like, because like this was like a private concert, no joke, like private concert. Like it wasn't a full concert, but it was still so sweet. And then after Change of Heart, Matty said to me like through the microphone, he was like, "Oh, I don't know if you know, but everyone went absolutely fucking mental that we took you off the set list." And I was like, I was one of those people, like, oh. But he was like, "Yeah, so we just had to put it back on." I was like, this is when I started to like get really emotional, because I have such an emotional attachment to you. Like, I'm already getting emotional just thinking about it, because that song, I associate so many good memories, so many bad memories, 3 years of worth of memories with that one song, and it just meant so much to me that I got to listen to it live, like pretty much privately, and that song just means so much to me. I'm actually crying. Anyway, like they were playing the song and I was just like singing along, and I was just a mess crying because such a mess that day. But I had to leave halfway through, which really sucked because, you know, had to like end eventually. But I didn't notice that Matty's little brother Louis was behind me, and I wish I said hi. Like, I was too shy to say hello, and I was like shocked. I was like, "Oh, I gotta go." Yeah, my mum said hi to him, bye, and I just waved bye and like quickly ran off. And all the boys said bye Jasmine to me. I was like, thank you. But yeah, we went back to the tour manager's office and stayed there for a little bit. Like, we were just, you know, chilling, and then he gave me an envelope which I kept for some reason. Like, it has nothing to do with like anything, but it's just like a payment for the band, and I thought I'd keep it, you know, as a little memory, keep it for a little moment. But yeah, it was just to keep my Facebook and the poster safe, and honestly, like, it was so sweet of him to do this for me. Like, I'm so thankful to him, and like, he even made me and my mum like 2 extra wristbands. Like, I kept them, like, that the first 80 people in the queue got. So we didn't have to wait at all. Like, we just went to the cut-off line, like queued from there, and it was so good. Like, honestly, he like saved us that day. It was the perfect experience. But yeah, he was like, "Okay, come back 6:30 latest, and then, you know, just go warm up and stuff." So we did, and like we came back at 6 because again I was too excited. And we stayed in the queue for quite a bit, like an hour, and then eventually we'll let him. But people were quite annoyed that we cut in, but we had wristbands, so we couldn't like really help it. Like, we had to. Like, I felt so guilty, but you know, I can like change anything about it. Like, you know. Anyway, we got in at around 7, so we only queued that day for about an hour and a half, which was amazing. And we went up to our seats and they were fabulous. They were absolutely amazing. And I got more merch, of course, such trash merch. Japanese House opened. They did an amazing job at setting the mood for the concert. They did so well, and honestly, I just love them. And the boys, they absolutely outdid themselves at that concert. It was amazing. Like, I've seen videos of concerts that they've done before, but honestly, it's amazing in real life. But I've already decided that next concert I'm gonna like get there like 6 AM, gonna be in the pit, you know, gonna, you know, wait solid 12 hours to get a good spot, hopefully get barrier. So yeah, but that's gonna be at the end of the year, so just gotta wait for a few months. But honestly, as a first concert experience for the 1975, this was possibly the greatest experience I could ever have. Like, I'd been to a concert before, like a Rihanna one, but it was nothing compared to this. This was amazing. This was indescribable. Like, I'm gonna remember that day forever. And I'm just so thankful to, you know, I'm thankful to the tour manager especially, but as well as Matty, George, Ross, Adam, like Jamie, John, everyone. Absolute legends. Like, it was just the perfect day, and like, I hope you guys enjoyed listening to my experience, and hopefully I'll make more videos in the future. Like, this would just be a nice little start to this like YouTube account. So I hope to see you guys in the next video, and please do tell me if you enjoyed and what you'd like to see next. Thank you, bye!